Hey guys, Andru here, editor-in-chief of GearLive.com. Another year's gone by, it's the fall season again, and that means it's time for another iPhone review. Of course, this year it's the iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus that we'll be focusing on. Now, Apple broke it down by introducing a bunch of key new features that they felt set the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus apart from previous iPhones, as well as all the competition on Android. Now, I'm going to walk you through each one of the features that Apple pointed out during the iPhone 7 intro and let you know how it all comes together for the average user. Are Apple's latest flagship devices worth your attention and hard-earned cash? After over a month using it on a daily basis, I'm here to break it down for you right now. Oh, and before I forget, I'm actually running a giveaway right now where 2 winners get to choose their choice of a 128GB iPhone 7 Plus or a 128GB Google Pixel XL. So I'm going to leave a link in the description below so you can find that giveaway and enter. And I'll also leave a card somewhere on one of the 2 sides of the video player if you're watching this on YouTube. Apple is known for the bold approach, and this year the iPhone 7 flagship is no different. Obviously, there's an uncanny resemblance between it and its predecessor, yet it manages to incorporate subtle yet key changes, starting with design. Forged out of an aluminum body, the feel of the iPhone remains pretty much the same, unless you opt for the more tactile feeling and hard to find jet black model, which is what I have here. Now, the finish on the jet black model is unlike any other finish that Apple's ever put on any other device that it's made. But regardless of the color you choose, the dimensions are exactly the same as last year's model. The visible changes only come in the form of a slight shift of the antenna lines and some tweaks to the camera area, which are much more obvious on the iPhone 7 Plus. And there's also a new unibody design that's almost seamless to the touch. So with the physical appearance remaining mostly the same and the jet black model remaining so hard to find, I've been recommending that people who want to switch up the appearance check out D-brand skins. I've got one here on this iPhone 7 Plus. It's a rose gold model, but it's covered by the leather D-brand skin. And I just think they're cool if you're looking for something more eye-catching than the standard silver gold, rose gold, and matte black colors. I'll leave a link to D-brand in the description below so you can check them out for yourself, but let it be known that their customization options will not disappoint. Now, of course, I won't blame you if you prefer the jet black look, which Apple has been pushing super hard in the iPhone 7 marketing materials. The high gloss jet black finish is achieved through a 9-step process of anodization and polishing. The end result looks so good that it's hard to tell where the aluminum ends and the glass begins. Well, that's how it is until the micro abrasions and scratches start to show up. Now, Apple recommends covering up the jet black model in a case if you're concerned about that, but it kind of defeats the purpose of buying the jet black finish if you're just covering it up with a case, right? The right side is where you find the power button, while the left is for the volume rockers and the mute switch. Along the top bezel, you'll find the new 7-megapixel FaceTime camera, along with the speaker grill and various sensors. And yes, that earpiece on top is a real speaker now. But all that said, this bottom area right here is where most of the notable external changes are found, and we'll get to those in a bit. Okay, let's talk about water resistance for a moment, because that's one of the key features, at least, that stuck out to me. The entire enclosure of the iPhone 7 has been re-engineered, and one of the big results is that the iPhone 7 is the very first water-resistant iPhone, and that applies to both the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 7 Plus. So now you're protected against spills, splashes, and dust, in theory. And I say in theory because despite the IP67 rating, which basically means that the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus are both dust-proof and can be submerged in a meter of water for up to 30 minutes without seeing any issues, Apple actually doesn't cover water damage under the standard warranty on the iPhone. In fact, in order to get them to cover water damage, you have to buy the Apple Care Plus warranty, which is a $129 premium on top of the cost of the device. And to me, that's kind of annoying. If you're gonna push water resistance, then stand behind water resistance on your product. Don't make me pay extra to cover something that you say the phone can do. And this is why I'm a big fan of Upsy. And if you're unfamiliar, Upsy is a company that insures the consumer electronics products that you buy at a price that's much less than companies like Apple or Best Buy or even Square Trade will charge you. For example, full coverage on an iPhone 7 or iPhone 7 Plus through Upsy is $79.99. That's $50 less than the Apple Care Plus warranty that you'd get from Apple, and it covers all the same stuff, including liquid damage. And if something does go wrong, the deductible is $75, which is $24 less then you'd pay Apple if something goes wrong and you have Apple Care Plus. And the thing is, Upsy covers all the same things. My personal iPhone 7 Plus is covered by Upsy, and if you want to get your own Upsy plan on any smartphone or consumer electronics device, simply head over to upsy.com and use promo code Andru10. That'll get you 10% off the already inexpensive price of Upsy coverage, making it even cheaper to insure your devices. Now let's turn to the next new feature on the iPhone 7 that Apple says sets it apart, and that's the new home button. The home button on the iPhone 7 has been completely re-engineered to the point that it's hard to call it a button at all. It's now a pressure-sensitive capacitive panel, and the haptic feedback provided by the new Taptic engine aims to simulate the feel of a button press when you squeeze that panel. And you can actually select the level of haptic feedback that you want to feel. After using this for a couple of weeks, it actually felt odd when I busted out my iPhone SE and used the old school home button. And that's when I realized I much prefer the new haptic capacitive option when you compare it to the standard button of old. Despite the change to the home button, Touch ID still remains and unlocks the phone very fast, and Apple Pay works with it as well. Next up, next big feature is the display. And most people don't realize that the display on the iPhone 7 actually is different than the one you see on the 6S and 6S Plus. Yes, they're the same resolution, which is 1334 by 750 Retina HD on the 4.7-inch iPhone 7 and 1920 by 1080 5.5-inch Retina HD on the iPhone 7 Plus. However, these are the best LCD displays that you've ever seen. And that's on any device, be it a laptop, be it a smartphone, be it a computer, be it a monitor, be it a television. The iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus deliver cinema standard colors and are accurate point for point to the P3 color space. What you see on the display is a true representation to what you're meant to be seeing, whether you're looking through a camera, looking at images, shooting video, or basically looking at anything that someone else created. You're seeing exactly the colors that they wanted you to see. There's no shift in the colors at all. 3D Touch is still here on the display as well, paired up with the enhanced Taptic engine to give you haptic feedback while you use it. And iOS 10 brings 3D Touch to a lot more places throughout the operating system, making it feel like a real feature this year rather than a new gimmick. Now, next up, let's talk about the camera, because arguably the camera is the most important feature on the iPhone. And I say that because the iPhone is actually the world's most popular camera. And social media actually backs that up because it's the most used camera on Instagram and it's the most used camera on Flickr. So this year there are some key differences between the cameras on the iPhone 7 and the larger iPhone 7 Plus. So let's get started with the iPhone 7, and everything I say about the iPhone 7's camera here applies to the iPhone 7 Plus as well. You get a 12 megapixel camera that now includes optical image stabilization to make those low light shots and videos look a lot sharper, as it reduces the blur associated with motion and having a shaky hand. The new f1.8 aperture means that it captures 50% more light than the iPhone 6S, which adds to its low light capabilities and shallow depth of field. The cameras on the iPhone 7 series of devices are also the only smartphones to capture wide color, and that's matched with the support of the wide gamut P3 color space on the display itself. That makes the colors in your pictures look truly amazing on the device. There's also a new quad LED True Tone flash, which is 50% brighter than the flash on the iPhone 6S series of devices. The flash has 2 white and 2 amber LEDs and adjusts to the color temperature of the environment that you're in, so you get sharper, more brightly lit photos. And the LED on the iPhone 7 seems to work better if you have a subject, whether it's a person or an object you're trying to take a picture of, as opposed to taking a picture of an environment or a room or something like that. The flash doesn't really spread out so much as it focuses in on your subject. Rounding out the camera on the iPhone 7, you also get faster focus, better white balance, and improved local tone mapping over previous iPhone models. The optical image stabilization also works for video, so you get less motion blur and you get better low light footage too, thanks to that new f1.8 aperture. For everything else, video is pretty much the same. You have 4K video recording, slow motion at up to 240 frames per second at 720p or 120 frames per second at 1080p, and time-lapse video capture as well. Over on front, you have the new 7 megapixel FaceTime HD camera, which is up from 5 megapixels on last year's model. Not only is it higher resolution on the iPhone 7, but it also captures wide color on front as well, similar to the rear camera. Of course, it still has the Retina flash, where it uses the display to light your selfies. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the iPhone 7 Plus camera does everything the iPhone 7 camera does, which I just mentioned, but it has a couple of extra tricks up its sleeve. Because it doesn't just have the one 12 megapixel wide angle camera on back, it actually also has a 12 megapixel telephoto lens on back, which lets you get 2 times closer to your subject without you having to physically move. And that works for both photos and video. So when you take a photo from either camera, the iPhone 7 Plus actually takes it with both cameras and then uses both images to create the final version that you see on your display. The telephoto lens also allows for the all-new portrait mode. When you go into portrait mode, the camera actually creates a depth of field effect that keeps your subject in focus, whether it's an object or a face, while creating a blurred background. And you can actually see this happen in real time on the display. The bokeh effect is something you typically find on a DSLR camera, and it's cool to see it work so well on a smartphone. This wouldn't be possible on the iPhone 7 Plus without that dual camera system and the advanced machine learning in the software to understand where things are placed in the real world. Now, speaking of that advanced machine learning, the iPhone 7 is powered by a new internal system on a chip called the A10 Fusion. It's found in both the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, with the only difference being that the iPhone 7 has 2 gigabytes of RAM and the iPhone 7 Plus has 3 gigabytes of RAM inside. This is where Apple shines. Performance on the iPhone 7 devices is fantastic. It's a quad-core chip with 2 high-performance cores that are twice as fast as the iPhone 6 and 2 high-efficiency cores that run at 1/5 the power of the other 2. That means you get speed when you need it and battery-saving efficiency when you don't. And that results in 2 more hours of battery life on the iPhone 7 and 1 additional hour of battery life on the iPhone 7 Plus. And the Plus model is already known for having great battery life. Graphics have also been improved here, with the iPhone 7 seeing 2 times faster speeds when compared to the iPhone 6, and the iPhone 7 Plus seeing 3 times faster speeds when compared to the 6 Plus. Capacity is also doubled across the board. Gone are the 16 gigabyte, 64 gigabyte, and 128 gigabyte configurations. They've all been doubled. They're now replaced by 32 gigabytes at the low end, 128 gigabytes in the middle, and a whopping 256 gigabytes at the top of the line. And that's what I'm rocking right here, because you gotta go big or go home. But yes, that also means that 16 gigabyte models in Apple's flagship line are now dead. That's way overdue. All right, guys, now let's talk audio. I didn't jump into this one first because I actually don't think it's as big a deal as everyone is making it. But yes, you know by now, the iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus no longer sport the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. That's gone. This is something that's happening in the industry, and it's not just an Apple thing. And in fact, Apple's not even the first phone manufacturer to not include the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on their device. Motorola was with the Moto Z and Moto Z Force Droid. And more phones are gonna drop on the Android side without the 3.5 millimeter jack. So it's a technology that's being phased out. So what did Apple do? First, they included a pair of Lightning earpods in the box. Second, they included a 3.5 millimeter to Lightning adapter in the box, allowing you to use whatever headphones you want. And third, the iPhone 7, of course, supports Bluetooth if you want to go wireless. So you have 3 options right there for listening to headphones of your choice. Now, if you're looking for great headphones to use with the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, check out the video I did with Xavier Woods, where we tested out the different options, whether it was Bluetooth, Lightning, or standard for the iPhone 7. I'll link that video in the description below, as well as in a card here in the video. That's not the full story though. There's also a new stereo speaker system on the iPhone 7, which is 2 times louder than the speakers on the iPhone 6s and has increased dynamic range. These sound great whether you're listening to the speakerphone, watching videos, or listening to music. And the way the dual stereo output works is basically you have one speaker down here, and then you have a speaker on top where the earpiece is. So you get sound coming out of both sides for a stereo speaker effect. So the question is, should you get the iPhone 7? And I've seen a lot of different answers to this one in articles and YouTube videos and pretty much all over the place, social media. But let me try to answer this for you in my way. First, I don't believe in waiting for something better. The reason I don't is because there's always gonna be something better coming next year. A lot of people have been saying, wait till next year, it's gonna be better. Well, if you wait till next year, when the iPhone 8's released, you might as well wait till the iPhone 9, because next year, something better is coming again. So that, I don't buy that logic in that argument. If you're in need of a new iPhone and you're an iOS user, go ahead and pick up the iPhone 7 or 7 Plus. It's the best iPhone on the market today. There are so many plans now, both from carriers and from Apple itself, that allow you to buy the phone today, pay it in monthly installments, and a year from now, when the next iPhone comes out, you just walk into the store, hand them your iPhone 7, and they hand you the new iPhone 8, and you just continue paying your installments. If you're someone who wants to have the latest and greatest all the time, you're gonna be paying every year anyway. This way just makes it much easier for you to do that. So it's not about should you spend all this money on the iPhone 7 and then be stuck with it. There are ways for you to get the new phone now and still get the new phone next year when that's available too. So if you want the camera, the increased speed, or the water resistance, and it's worth it to you, pick up the iPhone 7. If you're happy with what you have and nothing I've said resonated with you as far as all the features on the new phone, then stick with what you've got. In my own experience, coming from the iPhone 6s Plus, I'm happy with the total package of what the iPhone 7 has to offer. I wouldn't let the promise that something better is coming in 2017 make me delay having what I feel are great features to carry around with me now on a daily basis. The iPhone 7 starts at $649 for the 32GB model and jumps up to $749 for 128 gigs and $849 for the 256GB version. If you prefer the iPhone 7 Plus, those prices are $100 more at each level. Now I should also point out, if you want the jet black model, which again is pretty hard to find even today, this is only available in 128GB and 256GB variants. If you go for a 32GB iPhone, jet black will not be an option. And of course, gold, rose gold, silver, and matte black, not jet black, but regular black, are available on all three configurations. But now I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of the iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus? Have you picked one up? Are you an Android user and you don't care? Did you switch over from Android? Let me know in the comments below. I'm going to meet you there for further discussion. And don't forget, I'm giving away 2 brand new flagship smartphones. So enter the contest, and if you win, you get to choose your choice between a 128GB iPhone 7 Plus and a 128GB Google Pixel XL. Link in the description below. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed this one, and don't forget to click or tap on my face when it shows up here in the video player in order to get subscribed if you're not already. Thanks again for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andrew Edwards, and I'll catch you in the next video.